What's up, everybody? Peace, 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 people. Today, I want to do a little bit of a review of collagenesis video and other videos, by the way, under fair use of 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976 for education, information, observation, research, entertainment, all the above. I think looking at the video, the little bit that I did see, it seemed like he was doing a confessional, because Kala has been a Pan-African for years and years upon years, and he's been a staunch basher of Black Americans a lot, saying that we're not doing the right thing for ourselves, for our future. We need to leave America. We need to go to Liberia. We need to go anywhere else but stay in America for the most part. That's been his dream, to go to Liberia. But I think he went to Liberia recently, and I hadn't seen him since he went to Liberia. And looking at the video, it looks like he lost a lot. Had some wake up moment, some realization of what he was thinking on. Anyways, this video is going to tell a lot for those that do know collagenesis. If y'all have not yet, please like and share the video. Please subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate that. We're going to review this video entitled, "Are Other Blacks Jealous of," he says, African Americans. I corrected that, Black Americans. We do not identify collagenesis as African Americans. The indigenous Black Americans of America don't call ourselves African American. I hope that you would get that memo. We were around, we were alive when that name change came. I never changed the name from Black American since that name came. And I don't know why you would embrace that name change, because you're older than I am. So I find it odd that you're still cleaving to the word African American. But anyways, around here we call ourselves Black Americans, for those that don't know. Let's get to this. Fair use.
Mostly, and I'm seeing that, the love that we have for our vision of race and everything is not the prevailing thing. There's a lot of people who outside the Black American culture who have no problem with whites. They have no problem with marrying non-Black people and everything. And so therefore they really don't have this racial solidarity or consciousness that we have in America, which was bred in us. And it was
I don't think that we're like that anymore, collagenesis. We have evolved. A lot of people are multi-raced. They're dating anyone and everybody. People are divesting all over the place. People are trying out other cultures. So it's not like we're staying a stickler to just being with Black Americans anymore. Unfortunately, look at the passport bros, how they're going all over the place versus staying in America. They're dating all kinds of women from Brazil, Colombia, DR, Africa, wherever they can get themselves to. So we are mingling it up. It's not the same as before. But I get what you mean, that we call ourselves Black. And those that did start coming here to America, we didn't really see much of a difference. We weren't tripping like that until they gave us a reason to finally trip like that. And we now have good reasons to trip. But let's get back to this.
Us, not because that's the way we are. It's our experience in America has taught us that race and stuff like that are real. We watch people get lynched and killed because they were Black. No other reason. We watch businessmen in suits. We watch preachers. We watch women, children, everything killed and lynched, sold, everything, just because somebody said that you're Black. So therefore, our defense mechanism was to come together based on race. And that's why Black America is very race conscious. And then what happens is you got a lot of Africans and other people who come over here and mock that racial identity. What they're doing is they're mocking our ancestors. They're mocking what we went through and stuff. Now, you go to their countries and say, why do you guys do this and everything? And they'll give you this big, long history. Well, this is the reason why this does this is because of this. And we always be the one that have to be sensitive to stuff like this. Let me give you a perfect example. When we heard about the thing of genitalia mutilation of young girls, everything, we were appalled by that, right? And then we were accused of being culturally insensitive. That's their culture and everything. But we say that's a bad practice. You should get rid of that or whatever like this. And they'll tell you, who are you to come to Africa and tell us what to do? Rightfully or wrongfully so. And so anytime we have any criticism of Africa or other black people, we get that pushback like, how dare you try to tell us what to do and everything. But that same thing is not reciprocated with African Americans. We're race conscious because of our experience here in America. That's why we think the way we do. And so therefore, I'm very conscious of certain things that maybe brothers from the diaspora, I learned that when I was on this trip, this tour with Omani, and certain things I would hear said and everything like that, I took offense to and stuff like that didn't bother him because he's a Jamaican, my Jamaican brother and everything like that. So I'm like, well, wait a minute here. The problem is this. I'm very cognizant of the fact that Black America is seen as the pinnacle of all black people, the pinnacle in the eyes of everybody, whether they want to admit it or not and everything like that. It's just hard for people to give us that respect because our ancestors and our people made such an impact on the world. And people are jealous of that. They're jealous of our influence of everything from blues to gospel to politics.
I'm glad that you have come to this realization because I didn't know if you was ever going to get there. But yeah, people are envious of our accomplishments. They don't want us to be the go-to for our culture, for our innovations, for our creative way of expressing ourselves through music, through movies, and other ways. People really don't want us to be the top black any longer. They really want that replaced by another melanated black. And that's what I feel collectively most melanated blacks globally are trying to currently do. They're competing with us, whether we like it or not. They're not trying to unify with us. They're trying to compete and replace our position as being, they want to be the new melanated black power. They want to be perceived as the top, whether it's education-wise, whether it's working, career-wise, or any other political status, or just, whatever that they have accomplished. They would like to be the top dog in that post, in that position. There is no such thing as unifying. People like saying those words because it sounds good. But when you look at what people are doing in America, what they're doing, scrambling all over the place, they're trying to survive. They're trying to get out of Dodge. They're trying to elevate. They're trying to work. They're trying to get money. They're trying to live their life. They're not thinking about little old black Americans except for competing against us. That's it. So I'm glad you have finally woke up and the scales have come off your eyes. I'm just hoping that other people that's listening to this would not take offense and understand that we as Indigenous Black Americans are just trying to put all the pieces together so that we don't go crazy from what we see all the time and hear all the time and all the messaging that goes out there against us all the time. It does tend to get underneath our skin over time.
And everything like that, and people are jealous of that. And so therefore what people like this will say is, well, rock and roll's for everybody. Yeah, but who created it? Black America came from the African American experience. Hip hop, came from the Black American experience, along with people from the islands and wherever, who joined into it. But the thing is, we're not allowed to be like, hey, look, well, we created it, and they say, well, that isn't that bragging, anything like that. But everybody else is allowed to brag about their jollof rice or their whatever they create. They'll brag and they'll talk about it and stuff like this and everything. But anytime that we have something, everything, we have to just basically share it with the rest of the world.
And we're getting tired of this thing where people expects us to share all that we got. Let me say hi to everybody in the chat room. Thank y'all for appearing. And whoever's in the cloud, if you have not yet, please like the video. Please share the video. Subscribe to my channel. Don't be shy. It's not costing you a dime. I'm not asking for a pint of blood, I swear to it. What's up, G? How you doing? Hi, Lynn. Thank you for coming through. Kala is a joke. Don't trust him. I don't trust any of them, but I see that he is spilling other truths that he normally doesn't spill. Ken Damage says, and cry racism. Well, that seems to be the talking point to get us to leave America, Ken. That's why they cry racism all the time, because that's supposed to inspire us to want to get out of Dodge of America and take a chance in Africa. And that's why they always cry racism. Racism does exist, though, but it's not every single day. But it is systematically interwoven into laws, into how people are moving and doing things. And it seems to be around since the beginning of America. So no one can deny that racism doesn't exist. It's overly exaggerated sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes it's over exaggerated. Lynn says they have to earn the respect. They don't have the accomplishments that we have. They don't have the creativity that we have. That's what Lynn says. G says he's all right. Glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you feel better. I believe you said you weren't feeling too good, so I hope that you feel a lot better. How you doing, Miss D? Thank you for coming through. Lynn says because they can't do what we have done, they are jealous of us and they want to be us. It seems to be that way a lot of times. Not all, but a lot of the ones that we see on YouTube, and the ones that are griping about us all the time, and the ones that are projecting and gaslighting to us all the time. Many Black Americans keep getting a wake-up call when they go to Africa, G says. Yes, they do. And it's unfortunate that it seems to be just revving up more and more and more. It's not going to stop because there are not any safeguards for us. No one cares about our safety. Nobody cares about giving us assurances. There are no guarantees on anything. When it comes to Africa, you might as well just say you're gambling, because that's exactly what you're doing. And people don't want us to think like that, come to the realization that we are pretty much not set up for success going to Africa overall. But Pan-Africans, again, want us to believe that it is successful to go there. Let me see, where was I? G says, the interview on YouTube, why I am leaving Ghana, they scammed me, and I am done with authentic African. You mean that, it was on Authentic African's channel where he interviewed the model lady, Leslie. I think her name is Leslie Jones or something like that. It was very informative. Yeah, I like it, but it was kind of boring because I don't know, sometimes when you just talk all proper, we don't have the patience to listen to it. It has to be ghettofied and a little bit of drama. And if it's not filled with a little bit of drama, a lot of people find it kind of boring. But I did watch most of it. I know which video you're talking about. Lynn says, but these melanated immigrants are willing to flee here to put up with the racism. Yeah, because they're choosing the lesser evil. Famine, war, um, gangs, domestic violence without anybody coming to check those men that does what they're doing in some of those places. People want to flee from conditions where they cannot improve on, and they figure racism would be a better way to go because, again, it's not every day. It doesn't happen to everybody. Not all scenarios are wrapped in racism. Sometimes it's a glimmer of hope and it's a glimmer of luck. Sometimes it's even a blessing. It really is a grab bag when it comes to America and what happens here, especially how you are when you are faced with, racism. I remember I was just in the park the other day, and I don't normally say hi to people too often, but this lady was looking at me kind of a long time, looking at me, watching me and my dog. So I just said good morning, just try to see if she would stop staring. And she just gave me a hard stare and she says, go on, just go on. So she probably was a racist. She was in her, look like 70s. Go on, just go on. I was like, what? And I was about to say something. I caught myself. I said, no, I'm going to leave that old lady alone. If she wants to be racist, let her. It's early in the morning. I was trying to beat the sun. It's going to be so hot today. I don't know how hot it's supposed to be where you guys are at, but it's supposed to be like 109 today. Easy Access family, good morning to everyone. This live is going to be fire. Yes, it is. Thank you for that, Easy X. I really appreciate you. G says, we as Black Americans or Indigenous Black Americans are on our own journey. We are. We are definitely on our own. We are definitely abandoned right now on our own. And we are coming to the realization that all we got is ourselves, really. Miss D says, true, G, we need to focus on us. Yes, we do. Easy Access, so panties flee USA because of racism and to deal with tribalism, and Africans flee to come and deal with racism. Make it make sense. They know that what they're running from is far worse than anything that we could ever imagine. It's just that we can't fathom a government being so corrupt. We can't fathom all the bribery that they do all over the place. They can't think on all the scam culture that's plaguing West Africa. But that is what I've discovered by observation. That is what I'm understanding by what I've been seeing and feeling and discerning and learning. All the above. Lynn says, because of the tribalism on that continent, we would never be able to live there in large numbers. We would just be another tribe for them to war with. Exactly. Excuse me. Exactly, Lynn. That's the part that I don't understand why Pan-Africans don't get it. Just like they are tribalistic all over the place, warring and genociding one another, ethnic cleansing one another, that would end up being us if we were there in large number. And they got jealous of us being successful there. They would burn the shit down or kill us. There are a lot more people that's there than we'll be there. It's never going to be enough to match their numbers. So we would be outnumbered if they really wanted to harm the people that gather in a compound or a community or whatever. Miss D says they know they can hear and use our ethnicity of Black American and use our tangibles. That's exactly what they've been doing. Aaron says, son, be racist. Okay, Aaron. Lynn says, facts, that's why even the melanated Brits want to come here to get under our umbrella. I don't know. I think if I was in Britain, I would want to stay there. There's no guns. I mean, it is kind of dry over there as far as personality and things to do. but it's safer, I would imagine. And I don't know. I wouldn't be rushing to come to America if I was in Britain. Easy X says, I was literally told by an African they don't mind the racism. They happy here. So don't expect them to help us in our fight. Treat them like any other ethnic group. Don't treat them special. Exactly. I'm not hating on any immigrant, any African or any Caribbean or any other immigrant, whomever they are. It's just, I'm indifferent to them because I know that focusing and thinking of them as being special or anything out of the ordinary, it's not a good thing for me to do, because that's setting me up to put them over me or look at them as being better than me. I just look at them as any other group. It just makes things a whole lot simpler. African Goddess, thank you for coming back. You said, I am an African born in the UK now, living in Africa. People born here think I am stupid for being here. They want access to the West. Why do they think you're stupid for being there? Because most of them are jealous. They want to be right where you are, African Goddess. Don't be fooled. They're just saying that to get you to want to come back to suffer alongside of them. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Too much stupid in the world. That's true, Aaron. It is too much stupidity. Things should be made simpler. But a lot of people don't want things to be made simpler because they enjoy humans suffer. They enjoy the suffering of others. This world is pretty wicked, and there's a lot of suffering that's going on in the world if you think about it. Did y'all know about this recent stampede that happened in India? Over 121 people were perished or killed because of a stampede. Let me find that for y'all. I couldn't believe it. But people that's in crowds like that, I get really uncomfortable. I'd be thinking about stampedes because of that. And it happened in India. Let's see, here we go. This is wild. Over a religious gathering, y'all. So people just started running all over the place. But this shows you how chaotic the world is, how unsettling the world is, and how easy it is for the world to come unglued.
A horrifying scene in India. A deadly stampede breaking out inside a makeshift tent as a massive crowd tried to leave a Hindu gathering Tuesday. This district administrator saying, just when the event was about to culminate, there was a sudden commotion due to overcrowding and excessive humidity, which caused the stampede. Local police saying at least 116 people killed and dozens injured, most of the victims women and children. The chaos erupting in the city of Hathras, 3 hours from the capital, New Delhi. This witness saying people started falling one upon another. Those who were crushed died. People there pulled them out. Deadly stampedes not uncommon during Indian religious festivals because of large crowds and few safety measures in place, including one in 2005 when 265 people were trampled. Back in Hathras, a somber scene outside the hospital as residents carried stretchers not for patients, but for victims. Police pouring over...
Can y'all imagine that, y'all? Having a stampede because you gathered for a religious gathering and too many people come and it got real hot and uncomfortable and people just started running and people fell and were getting trampled over and all of that. So yeah, Aaron, it is very much a stupid world because something like that didn't have to happen, but people are not managing their functions very well. Lynn says, but they are only bringing that same scamming and jealous culture to the United States. It is here, definitely. You hear it all over your social media. I would never have known, unless I came to social media, how deep the envy goes. Miss D says, I hate the so-called black media wants to call everyone melanated around the world black. We need to stop that in America because black is our ethnicity. We can't control if they say they black. Yeah, it's going to be a hard one because, again, that word term black is being used to so-called unify all of us as a block of black. They needed to go through us to try to wrangle everybody else into one thing. And this is why they're calling everybody black. You're going to hear it everywhere for every story. Even now, Africans, when they have a story, they don't even say African. They say black. Everybody's trying to navigate or navigate to say that word all the time. Black, 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 black. Miss D says we can't control if they say they black anywhere else, but in the United States, we are the only black. Stop flat blackness. It muddies the waters. True delineation. Miss D says facts. Lynn says the melanated Brits say all the time they don't get the opportunities we have created for ourselves in America. For example, they have no opportunity in movies, etc. Well, that's starting to change a little bit now. You said, Doc, Spencer said, yes, man, I heard about it. It was like 121 people killed. Exactly, Doc. It's scary how that happened from nowhere. G says, I heard that, and I believe that's why they keep coming over to America and sometimes Canada to do work. I heard about the stampede in India yesterday. Yup. Miss D says, that's cap. To Lynn M, African and Caribbean fight each other in the UK. They can come together to get their own opportunities. Now they come through us to get to the opportunities is what everybody's been doing. Go through our civil rights, go through our advancements and everything that we have set aside and utilize those things as opportunities. That's what they've been doing and having us compete for our own so-called rights. Miss D says, yes, crowds freak me out sometimes. I don't get involved in crowds anymore. You can have a fire breakout. You can have a shooting breakout, anything. G says, it's interesting that there were no Siddhi people of India trampled. The Siddhi people of India are the black people of the India. Oh, because they're secluded. They are isolated and kept at bay. I don't think that they can get out and about. I think that they're probably considered untouchables. They have caste systems or classes, cascade. And there are some people that only can deal with untouchables because they are considered filthy. They handle like trash and jobs that nobody wants to do. It's preserved and reserved for untouchables. And those people are considered like having like the Black Plague, they act like. I'm pretty sure that the so-called black people of India is in the category of untouchable. African goddess said, no, the African and Caribbean beef in UK has got much better with the younger generation. Miss D says they not black but melanated. Yes. Lynn says exactly. They need to make their own lane. They said they work hard, but they just flee to the United States to take advantage of what we worked hard to create. Yes, they have. You're right, for black. Thank you for that. So getting back to collagenesis again, I want to show his awakening that he has now discovered, realizing that Pan-Africanism is a joke and that there is jealousy when it comes to other melanated people relating to Black Americans. There's a sense of entitlement, there's jealousy, there's envy, all of the above, and hate, disdain.
Everything we have to just basically share with the rest of the world and don't be like, it belongs. It remind people where it came from and stuff like this, and that's what gets annoying. And like I said, I don't think a lot of these people know what it's like to be number one. When you're number one, you're conscious of the fact that there's going to be people that's going to hate you. There's people that are going to envy you and stuff like this. So you're constantly walking that tight line in the Pan-African world, where people are constantly looking at you and stuff like this, judging us and stuff like this. And it wears on you after a while. It wears on you after a while. You say to yourself, okay, we're all Pan-African. We're supposed to have black unity and stuff. But what I don't see in the Pan-African world is the same respect that we're told to do with other people. And so the Pan-African world has got the answer for this stuff. Whatnot. Why are people allowed to say Black Americans don't have no culture? Why is it that people always put videos out here? Even Black Americans have negative images of themselves. Like this one gay guy on TikTok. I should have saved the video. I want to play what TikTok is. He says immigrants work harder than Black Americans. I said it. Some flaming, one of those flaming ones. And I said that's a lie. Immigrants do not work harder than African Americans. Do you see who does the truck driving in this country? Who does the construction jobs? Who works at the post office? Who works even in the fast food industry and stuff like that? It's African Americans. So where's this notion that immigrants work harder? They work 3 jobs. Black people in America work 3 jobs and everything. Everybody's trying to make it in this country or not. So why is it that immigrants are always giving this whole thing like they work harder? It's always like we're trying to belittle ourselves, right? It's like when you're on top, like Black Americans, there's always got to be people that can bring you down. Well, immigrants work hard. Well, let's say immigrants work, or let's say people start believing that, right? So what does immigrants want? They want a medal from white America? That's what it is. They want white America to pick them. Why not? White America has no say-so over Black America. They lost that power generations ago. So a lot of these Black immigrants think they're going to come here and replace us because they want to put themselves as better Black people and everything like that. Forget about the Caribbean and stuff like this. Who brings the drugs into this country? It's people from the islands, people from places like Trinidad, people from the Barbados and all stuff like that, Jamaica. And they're bringing the drug trafficking and stuff like that in the States and everything. But crime and everything like that is always put on us. But the thing is, though, there's just as many people who are criminals and gangs and everything that come from the Caribbean, come from Africa, and stuff like that. The Africans, you run 409 scams. They're all over Asia running 409 scams. 419 scams and stuff like this, but they want it like this. Why? Because you have to basically tear Black America down to make yourself look better. And it's envy and jealousy. It's sad that it's like the old thing about a slave, a free man envying the chains and shackles of a slave. And you're saying to yourself, well, that slave over there, he's getting fed really well and everything like that. He knows where he's going to be every day, but, I got to get out here and do everything, but you're free. You would rather be in shackles and everything rather than be, shackles rather than be free, And just a sad situation. So I asked a question, are other black people jealous of Black Americans? We took this yoke, this burden on us about liberating the world, even to the point where I look at the situation of Palestine. I don't agree with the Palestinian situation, but we see them as a fellow oppressed group of people, so we want to cape them.
No, we don't. That's some of y'all. We are indifferent to other people. People that's worried about Palestine and everything else is silly, because those same people will never, ever worry about you.
And everything. And people who don't give a damn about us and everything. It's apartheid South Africa. Apartheid would never end in South Africa if the African American community didn't come rally the world credit for that situation, And so therefore, like I said, instead of people saying, yeah, Black America does a lot for a lot of people, they never ask for anything in return. We never asked Nelson Mandela for one stitch of land. We never asked for one gold mine. We never asked for anything in return other than the fact that we were just doing our brotherly and sisterly duty to help our people that were oppressed in South Africa. We didn't know that now we don't didn't know the whole story about apartheid. We didn't know everything. All we saw was our people who look like us, being oppressed. So we automatically related to that struggle. Even though when we look at it, we have more in common with the whites and the Afrikaners in South Africa than we do the black people. Because blacks are the majority there. We're the minority group in America. And so, therefore, under duress, we created the most successful group of black people on the planet the world has ever seen. And so, therefore, no matter what they do, they can't take that away from us. We produce, while the other groups of black people were in darkness, we were in light. We were producing scientists, inventors, everything. The list of black inventors and everything. African Americans, black people in America, our people. Our people, those are our people. That's our culture, our people. We produced the world's first black billionaire, Reginald Lewis. Reginald R. Lewis, a billionaire in 1987. First black man, did it in America. Not because he was with some corrupt government and everything. He has a monopoly and everything. He did that right in America, playing the white man's game and beat him. First person. No Indian, no Chinese, or nobody else could ever have done that. But it was a black man in America who became a billionaire. And everything. Like Black Enterprise magazine always showcased the success of Black America in Black America. So George Frazier once said, "Black America, success runs in our race." We have a whole history of success. Madam C.J. Walker. We have a whole history of success in this world.
And the only way to keep that going is to keep the administrations that are out here trying to undermine America overall, and that would be getting rid of Biden's administration. I want to go through a little bit over what the debate, Biden and Trump's debate was over the immigration policy for those that didn't see the debate, to think on the key points that Trump brought up and how slow and silly Biden looked and sounded. But just keep in mind that our world is crumbling under the administration of Biden. And all these immigrants are not coming over to bless us. They're coming over to replace us. And Biden must go. Biden has got to go.
Issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch, overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now.
It's a little bit too late for him to be having bipartisan anything and trying to wrangle and cut off the flow, because more than enough has already entered in, unvetted, unchallenged, anything. Don't know what their status, health is. You don't know anything about their criminal backgrounds. You don't know if they come from gangs. You don't know if they're part of a cartel, drug related, or any other affiliation, ISIL, ISIS, all because of his ass, all because he is a traitor. I'd rather have a felon in office versus a traitor over the Constitution, a traitor over what America should stand for, which is maintaining America as a democracy, as a place of liberty. You can't guarantee liberty when you're bringing in a whole host of men that can turn on you and cause disruptions throughout the country.
We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. Significantly, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families are separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where There are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of this sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere, all over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border.
Look at that look of Biden. Oh, is he even here? Lord have mercy. That look is too much. It looks like a ghost.
Border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that. They endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, killed three American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people. That's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed three people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the two greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying, and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, and every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these three incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and they just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in. And it's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And he opposed, his group oppose that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
Anyways, we'll get back to that in a little bit. I just wanted to play a little bit of it because that's our issue as Indigenous Black Americans, is the immigration or illegal immigration issue, crisis, migrant crisis, whatever way you want to call it. It is not a benefit to my community at all. It's not a benefit to any American, actually, whether you're Black or white. That's why it's very important to understand that Biden basically turned his back on Americans totally. And so this notion of us standing pretty in America, as some of the melanated immigrants seem to believe, is far from the truth as of late. As of late, it's anything goes right now. African Goddess says the belief, rightly or wrongly, is that you guys have access to everything. And I believe that, African Goddess. Thank you for your honesty. Easy Act says white people are jealous of us as well. We got no friends. Can we just be friends among ourselves? I'll be happy with that. We don't have to ask for anyone to like us. Let's love each other. It's easier said than done. Easy Ask. There's just so many people that have so many different allegiances to so many different ideologies, religions, cults, personality worship. So many people get in the way of themselves by not just looking at the truth as it is. They want to make excuses as to why you relate to other people, like Umar Johnson. People like his personality. They like what he represents. Supposedly looks like a man. He looks like a real man. But is he doing what his words said he would do? No. Why has this man been running around talking about the school for boys that he's supposed to build over 10 years now? And still he talks very comfortable, no anxiety, no fear, no nothing, because we're not holding him accountable. That's just a prime example of how Pan-Africanism has failed us because of how he looks, how he sounds. And he got silly, laden women thirsting over him. African Goddess says at least 11,000 Black Palestinians live in Al-Jalah's district of Gaza in a neighborhood called Ai Abid, which means slaves in Arabic. Wow, 11,000. Are they still there? Because they have been run off. I'm not quite sure if they're still there. The way that war has been going, it's been awful. Anytime I do catch some news clips about it, I don't want to listen to it long because it's just too much. How they're just doing the most to make statements and whatever to make their mark on this war. I don't know when it's going to be over. It's like it's been going on, seemed like forever. Lynn says we need to move far away from Pan-Africanism and flat blackness. We need to delineate and identify our lineage and build and take care of our own ethnic group. That sounds about right. We definitely need our own identity and lineage. We do definitely need to respect ourselves as Americans, indigenous to this country. And we cannot be forced by Pan-Africans to think of ourselves as African now, because that's not what we've been calling ourselves. And that's what we're not identifying ourselves as, just because they have agendas attached to our so-called money they think we got. African Goddess says he's identifying with white Afrikaners. Who? You talking about Kala? I'm not sure if he is. Doc Spencer says, thank you, African Goddess. I didn't see no Palestinians say or march for them. Miss D says, we don't have access to everything, African Goddess, but the little we have, we fought for. melanated people in the UK have to fight. Lynn says the Democratic Party are brought and sold to the powers that be. Democrats' agenda is the new American project. It's funded by the powers that be. Interesting, Lynn. Thank you for that. Miss D says Biden was sent to destroy the United States. They want to flood this country with anybody. He's a puppet. Apparently so. He's on his last legs, looks like. Lynn says, I really don't know what he said, Trump. I know he said, I don't know what he just said at the end. Lynn says, we don't have borders. That's true. African Goddess says, Miss D, trust me, we have been fighting in the UK. When I was a child, no blacks, no Irish, no dog signs everywhere. See, I never heard that before. See, I don't know why other melanated people don't do YouTubes to explain their own plight and what they've been through, because we don't know. Doc Spencer says now they are mad because they putting where they live. Oh, they putting them where they live. Yeah, they are. Easy X says, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I know someone personally in another country that is trying to get into the United States before the elections. Millions are watching our politicians in November elections. Wow, I heard that. Lynn says Biden is plunging this country into a third world country. All of these homeless people, and now it's illegals to be homeless. But illegals get to stay in 5-star hotels and throw food in the trash and complain about the food as well, I might add, Lynn. Elite Gaming says that's everybody's issue, giving illegals $5,000 a month as Americans suffer in poverty of all colors. Yes, every American at this point, not just indigenous Black Americans, is suffering behind these illegal aliens. I don't want us hating them, because without Biden allowing them to come in, they would not be able to get in the way that they have. So it's not their fault to take on the invitation to come in, but we do have to suffer the consequences of what Biden has done. For instance, like I said before, there is now there's a new driver's license being given out to undocumented immigrants. Let me show you that news clip where is it? Okay, they'll tell it in a minute. Hold on. Fair use of all videos, fair use, fair use. Please like the video.
The new law taking effect today allows undocumented immigrants living in Illinois to obtain a driver's license to help eliminate barriers to opportunities.
And WJN Sean Lewis reports on that from Pilsen.
Well, good evening. This change in law did take effect earlier today. Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias saying that not only does this new program provide for safer roadways in the state of Illinois, it also provides dignity for those who are newly arrived.
As traffic passed by the National Museum of Mexican Art, a change in state law was being celebrated inside. The change impacts immigrants like Daisy Martinez.
For her, being able to drive and live in the suburbs is very important.
Not yet a citizen. For years, though, she has driven with what's called a temporary visitor driver's license, or TVDL. While giving her the ability to drive legally in the state, it clearly shows you cannot use it for identification purposes. That purple banner indicating she and 300,000 others in Illinois with a TVDL are undocumented.
And that purple marker has become a scarlet letter, potentially exposing them to judgment, discrimination, or immigration enforcement.
Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias.
Again, illegals fighting for rights in America is unheard of. But yet we have this case and scenario going on right now for real. I feel like I am dreaming. If this is a nightmare I'm about to wake up from, but no, it keeps going on and on and on.
He is touting the benefits of the new program, including using that card for identification to open bank accounts and apply for housing, while saying that safeguards are in place to prevent this restricted driver's license to be used for voting or citizenship. To qualify.
And that's gonna really hamper the Black vote. We already have it tough enough sometimes with voting because some of the people that is in the community are in jail. I don't know if they strip you of being able to vote while you're in jail, or if you went to jail for a crime, are you restricted in voting? But we've had some issues with voting all the time, all people voting, and you bringing in illegals is complicating our vote. It's like replacing our vote. In a nick of time, he's going to allow these illegals to have an access rights that we died for, y'all. Literal rights that our people literally spilled blood, went to jail, was hosed down, dogs sicked on them. They were shot, they were hung, crosses were burned in the lawn, and all kinds of things have transpired behind us getting so-called rights, and they just get to willy-nilly waltz in and get rights, get votes, get money, all these things. So what Kala has said, us being the top dog, again, with how they have it rigged and set up now, they're going to make sure that that's not going to stand under Biden's administration. Biden must go. Going on to read, Elite Gaiman says, I read that. Easy Act says, you talk to most immigrants and they want Biden to win, or at least Trump to lose and keep our borders open. Exactly, because they have everything to benefit and take. Just like Esther said, all they want to do is come to America and take. They're not here to benefit. They're not here to bless. They're here to take. And that's what they're doing. Miss D says, but Biden is full of it. He stopped the cities from persecuting criminals. Illegals get released even if they commit serious crimes. And the vets are homeless at a high rate and they don't receive money. No, they don't. They'd be treated like stepchildren for real. Miss D says, African goddess, with all due respect, you are African, not black, Miss D says. Lynn says, facts, immigrants, LGBTs, abortionists, and the powers that be, etc., want Biden to win. It's a global agenda. It definitely is a globalist agenda. These are other people elsewhere have just as much to bank on our destruction here in America, and they really would like to see it like a George Soros. George Soros spends a lot of money to bring about a lot of chaos in our country, and he is happy as a lark that our borders are wide open right now. He has an open society, so he has been championing this open border phenomenon forever, and now this is the case. So who is doing the puppeting? I believe it could be the likes of a George Soros. African Goddess says, Miss D, I might not be black in the U.S., but I am in the UK, different country, different history. Pinky says, illegals already have DL, or driver's license rather, in California and still don't get insurance, hit and runs. Wow, see. Lynn says, yes, illegals get to drive without a license, no insurance, break laws, and walk away. Lynn says, 300,000 in Illinois. That's a lot of people. 300,000. Wow. African Goddess says, if you are applying for a job in the UK, you are either Black Caribbean, Black African, or Black other. Pinky Wells says, I warned people many years ago for voting for immigrants and anchor babies. I could see why, Pinky. Pinky says, we voted them in here. Scott says, what do you think the Civil War was about? Well, it was about trying to separate ourselves, I think, from Britain. Just like we're about to have this celebration for 4th of July coming up. So we fought to be separate and have our own sovereign country. And again, it looks like we're not as sovereign as we used to be because we have everybody over here now and we don't even know who's in charge. It does not feel like Biden is even in charge. Miss D says, African God is melanated people in the UK, not black. You always have to copy what we do. Sad. But in the US, you're African no matter what they say. Pinky says, vote out all immigrants and acre babies. Miss D says, we need to overhaul the immigration. No anchor babies, no rights for illegals. It's easier said than done because everybody that's in power, unfortunately, are immigrants, or they're becoming more and more immigrants. Or if they're not immigrants, they have the agenda to have immigrants be running stuff. So it's a mess right now. Biden must go. African Goddess says, those are UK government classifications, not mine. Easy access for black is good to know about these things and how it would hurt us. We can't do much about it but react. If we were united, we could affect policy more towards our favor. We're going to learn this lesson, probably the hard way. Unfortunately, Easy X. Lynn says they are giving everything to these illegals. The New American Project even gave illegal scholarships to universities and colleges. Wow. Miss D says, African Goddess, fight to call yourself African and Caribbean in the UK. You guys fought to be black and you don't understand the term. African Goddess says, Lynn M, free scholarships for illegals. If I had known that when I was younger, I might have come. Wow. See, that's why Kala realization that things are not so pretty when it comes to any melanated immigrant in America, because they did not come here to unify with us. This notion of Pan-Africanism does not exist anywhere. So I'm glad that the scales have come off. Let's listen more to what he had to say and his awakening to understand what's really going on in America.
Success. You know, Madam C.J. Walker, we have a whole history of success in this world. So why are people walk around talking about how immigrants are doing so well over us when they have never achieved what we achieved in America, you know? And the reason why they keep doing this, like I say, is jealousy and envy. And you cannot build a Pan-African movement if there's jealousy and envy, like Cain and Abel, you know? Cain slew his brother Abel. Why? Out of jealousy. Jealousy is dangerous, and I think too many black people in America ignore that. You know, you better, like this, I check it all the time, you know? I'm not going to beat around the bush. Like when I talk about my people and everything like that, yeah, we're great people. You know, I don't become such a Pan-African. I lose my own identity. You know, I'm from Black America. This is where I was born in. It was black culture in America that reared me and made me success and made me the man I am. Okay? I appreciate Africa. I appreciate the connection with Bill and whatever, but Africa was not there for me. It was a black America. It was black people in America, particularly black Christian America, that made me who I am and everything. I'm not going to turn my back on that in the name of so-called Pan-Africanism. It's not going to happen.
That's right, Carla. Don't turn your back on us for Pan-Africanism. That's right. That's the way to be. You finally waking up. I'm proud of you. Salute. You have come a long, long way.
And that's what's happening right now. The people don't want to embrace their heritage. They don't want to embrace who they are. They don't embrace our success and everything. So they walk off trying to get out of being who they are. They want to call themselves Aboriginal Moors and Hebrew Israelites and everything like that, because you internalize this self-hate. And the self-hate comes from the fact that you deep down inside want to be white. You know, so instead of being appreciative of what you have and what your ancestors did and being proud, you're African American. That's why I use the term African American. I'm African American. That's what I am. You know, for better or for worse, that's what I am. You know, I'm not going to bow down to anybody telling me I got to change my identity. I got to be called.
Well, there's so many others that have, though. Look at Afro Think Tank. Look at Dynasty Demir. Look at all the others that had literally bowed down to kings, kissed rings, bowed down, changed their identity. Now they talking about they African. And they are trying to abandon their Americanness. And they're trying to encourage us to abandon our identity as Americans. And we're not going. We're not going.
Whatever, like a cable line, whatever the hell that is. I'm not going to be a Muslim and all this kind of stuff like this. I'm not going to be a Christian, whatever like this. I'm African American. That's my heritage and that's my culture and that's where I come.
You're a Black American Kala Genesis. By the way, this is Kala Genesis for those that want to check out his channel, Kala Genesis Radio. That's the name of his channel. We are indigenous Black Americans, Kala. We are not African American. That term was brought out in 1988 by Jesse Jackson. I rejected it at the age of 16. I rejected it at the age of 52 now. I don't want nothing to do with that term because it was not my identity at my tender young age. I've never received that. And I would hope with you being older than I that you would not call yourself African American, but that's my opinion. Whatever you decide to call yourself, that's on you. But I will be indigenous Black American myself.
These are my people right here. For better or for worse, these are my people, everything. And our people did some great things in this country. Is there a lot of stuff I'm ashamed about and everything, but the bad in Black America don't represent all of us. Not even a large percentage of us. But the way people have it, look at it, it's like we're just so unredeemable and everything like that. So people feel like they got to come here and tell us what to do and everything. And so I'm gonna play some videos and everything like that, so we could get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. Okay, let's see. Share screen. Where it go? Okay. Okay, I'll listen to what this girl has to say.
Have you guys seen the video? Have you guys seen the video of the African American woman who moved to Ghana and is complaining that she's being treated like a foreigner? I get that there are certain expectations because the Ghanaian government says, oh, everybody come home, all Black people come home. But I have to assume that this is a person who has not spent significant time in another country to recognize that the government may officially say, okay, all Black people come home, but that does not mean that that is the voice of the local people that you're going to have to live with. The other thing she complained about was, oh, the government invited us and then we had to pay all these monies to move into the country and all this money was required. Yes, dear, that's what moving abroad involves. And there's also a series of videos where Ghanaians are complaining about the Black Americans who have taken up the government's call, who have moved there and are in effect gentrifying the place. And
now, when they come to America and they move into their own enclaves and everything, and whatever, for better or for worse, who cares what they do? Do you see Black Americans complaining about Ghanaians and people set up little synagogues and doing business with themselves and everything like that and to try to make it in America? No, we don't say anything about it. So how are they called gentrifiers? If you go into an area, if you come into a country and you got money and the people there are poor, is that the fault of the people that's coming there? No. So therefore, gentrifying. The people complaining about this, it's like I said, we have to be very, very careful because this is very, very dangerous. People who spout this nonsense. So what you're saying, we're trying to do something harm to the people.
I think African Americans are not open to the idea that they can also be gentrifiers. African Americans who are moving into Black.
And also, let's be honest with ourselves. Majority of people going to Ghana and places like that are coming from mostly people of Caribbean descent. You know, people from Guyana, you know, Jamaica. So why do they all get lumped into the same core as African Americans? This is what I'm talking about. These people obsess over African Americans, and the average African American have no interest in moving to Ghana. They have no interest in going through all this and everything. They see somebody from, and a lot of these people are Ghanaians and other Africans who lived in the States and everything, maybe going to Ghana, and they all get lumped into the same category as African Americans because people want to believe that we're just we're demons and we have to basically be reined in and stuff like this. It's all this African American bashing.
Majority countries in Africa, in the Caribbean, South America, wherever, they're moving to the global south. Listening to the stories of people in these countries, I think there are some African Americans who are moving into these countries in the global.
That's a lie. Black African Americans are not moving to the global south. The average African American has no intention of leaving the United States and stuff like that. So you say the global south. This is another thing I'm getting sick and tired of, right? These people can come over here. They're at our border right now by the millions getting into the United States. But yet they want to talk about a few hundred black people, a few dozen black people moving to a place like Ghana, godforsaken place like Ghana, you know, and stuff like that. They ought to be glad that somebody's going over there.
Anyways, it is behind jealousy. Just like this video I played on another video had described, the jealousy of other groups of melanated folks in Africa see us again as well off. They imagine us having a whole lot of money that never runs out. They fantasize about us having all this money, and they begin to want what they think we got. And this turns into envy, and they're motivated to get what you got. And this is why we keep hearing crazy stories over and over again about the jealousy or disdain that other groups of people have for Black Americans. And we have not did anything for the most part to people. We've been invited supposedly to go to Ghana again. They have their own agenda, of course, on why they really invited us. It's about wanting to get our dollars towards their debt. Everything is involving their debt that they have acquired from IMF, World Bank, China, and all the others. This is why they invited us to begin with. But that's neither here nor there when it comes to the locals. They have nothing to do with why the government invited us. But they feel the weight when they see us and they think we have all this money. They be seething inside.
She claims Africans are jealous of Black Americans.
Listen, this is going to tick some people off, but I do not want to associate myself with being African American. That is out the door, and I'll tell you why. Now, I have had discussions with people who, Black Americans who had went over to Ghana. You remember that time when the president was like, oh, we want, Black people from the diaspora to come over to Ghana. We're going to welcome you with open arms. You remember that? Well, a lot of people that I know that went over to Ghana, and I was going to go too. I had drunk the Kool-Aid, and I'm like, well, shoot, let me go. But the people who went over there ended up coming back. The stories that they were telling, what was happening over there, they were getting scammed. They were purchasing land. Come to find out that the land wasn't even, in their names, that somebody else owned it, and there was nothing that they can do. They were spending thousands of dollars over it. So basically what was happening is it was kind of like, it appeared to be a lure for, Black Americans to go over to Ghana so that they can get scammed. Right.
And I had thought about this back in 2018, that it was not a good idea for the year of return when I first heard them even bring it up. When I first heard about it in 2018, I knew it was going to be a hustle. And people were saying I was a hater, that I hated Africans, that I'm disrespecting Mother Africa. all these things. They never, ever concluded or came to the conclusion that others have other agendas involving trying to get our money, and that's what they deem us as cash cows. They wanted that free-flowing spending money they think that we have to spend, and that is why they invited us. It has nothing to do with where they're people, they long to be with us, and all that type of crap is for the birds. It's not true.
And so they can get disrespected. And I'll talk about the disrespect. Now, there are a lot of videos that are circulating now where people are telling of their experiences at, how the Africans treated them over in Ghana. And so what they're saying basically validates what a lot of the people who I spoke with were talking about. They said when they got over there, they were so disrespected, right? And when they got over there, it was kind of like people just assumed that they had all of this money and they were just a big money grab. They were scammed out of their money. They were paying higher prices and everything. Now, there was this recent video that I saw on YouTube. Now, this wasn't the experience of the people that I personally spoke with, but they are now at the point where they're unaliving people, Black Americans. This one lady that I followed on YouTube, and I'll probably, post her video at some point. She said that she had heard some news that one of the Black women who went over there was found unalived behind her so-called property. Then she went on to say that it's now becoming typical that when they go there and they're out amongst Africans, that they are looked upon as like dogs, very disrespected. So I have chalked it up and I have said to myself, I'm like, you know what, based on these stories, the personal stories that I've heard from, and then all of the videos that are circulating about Africa, and I know Africa is a huge continent made up of different countries. I'm specifically talking about Ghana, but I know it's the same in other countries. But let's focus on Ghana. Those people are jealous of Black Americans. Don't think for one moment that they are not envious or jealous. They watch Black culture intensely. They mimic everything that we do. They love our music, our style, everything. They are watching us. And as a result, for some reason, they're jealous. And I wonder, what's the jealousy and envy is all about? So it boiled down to this. I think it's because of our freedom. And the reason why I say this is because I had already posted.
Bingo. It is because of our freedom. It's because of our birthright. It's because we're not forced to have to scramble here and there. Just think about it. There is now a hurricane coming to Jamaica. It's supposed to land tonight, I think, or tomorrow. Some type of major hurricane. They can't catch a break in the Caribbean. If it's not Haiti being hit up somehow, it's Jamaica. Now they're about to have some devastating situations going on over there. And if something happens over there, they're going to want to leave and flee. We never have had really that situation where we have fled, even though we went through Jim Crow, we went through slavery, we went through sharecropping, land stolen, loss of identity, loss of tribe, loss of this and that and the other. Murders have happened, jails have happened, enjailment has happened. People becoming unalive, hung, on a rope, on a tree, all these different things. We never fled. We stayed in America. There was opportunity a couple of times in America where freed people or freedmen back when could leave America and go to Liberia or Sierra Leone, I believe. And they opted not to go. So we have the spirit of this is where we're at. This is where we're going to live. This is where we're going to die. We're not running. And other groups of people that are melanated, unfortunately, have ran. They felt like they didn't have an option, that they had to get out of Dodge. And since we don't have that same issue, people look at us as if we're covered and protected. But that covering and protection is been done by our ancestors who suffered for that, for us to have a birthright. It was not given just willy-nilly, like, hey, you can just have this. No, they went through a whole lot of different changes to be able to acquire birthright. And a lot of people would wish that that birthright would be snatched from us. That's why it's very imperative that we treasure our birthright and our Americanness. I cannot say that enough.
Some months back that my ancestors were already here, that they did not come on boats. They were already here. They were not slaves. Oh my God, when I said that, and that video was somewhat viral, when I said that, people were coming for me in the comments, I mean, foaming at the freaking mouth. And you know who were foaming at the mouth and calling me all kinds of names and telling me I was lying? Were African people. Where one woman, and I looked on her page, her forehead was probably about 12 feet high, said that you will still be a slave in our eyes, dog. That's what she said.
And there's a whole lot of Africans, if you're honest, out there listening, and I know a lot of you Africans do listen to me. I'm starting to realize who is my audience. Hello. A lot of y'all, I just lost my train of thought, but a lot of y'all really don't like us because of our protection, like I said before, and they would like to see us scramble like other groups of melanated people do, but it's like we're home. They don't get that part. They don't want to believe that America is our home. They want to believe that this is just borrowed time that we're on. And again, that's where I think a lot of the jealousy and envy stems from, our perceived covering by our birthright.
To me. So I say this to you, Black people, here in the United States of America. Africa is not your home. The United States of America is your home. Deal.
That's what I say, man. I like when we come out like that and let it be known that we're really about standing on business, standing on what we believe we supposed to stand on. Let me go back up. How are y'all doing today? Thank y'all for coming through. For the ones that are here for the first time, I really appreciate you. Hasha, what's that? Hosep Shut 22. Thank you for coming through. I think it's my first time seeing you. Let me go back up. Son of Anan, thank you for coming in. Kayla got his feelings hurt by panties and Africans, Miss D says. Easy Access, I talked with Kala a few times on live streams. He was a lightweight. Prince Dinah's gonna be mad with Kala change of heart, but I don't trust his ass effing panty. Son of Anan says, what does being American mean to African descent people? My thought is you can't have a country without identifiable population. We are many things besides just so-called African descent, if that at all, because our history has not been told correctly. There were Black Indians here in the soil, son of Anan. They were reclassified into Negro, Black. They were made slaves. They were stripped of their identities. You see, not all Africans came from Africa to be made here in America. There was only a few that came and intermingled with the people that were here. And of course, we have other blood that, you know, what happened back in the day. So we're more than one thing. And we don't claim this notion that we're from Africa. We have always known only America. All we care about is what we can prove. And the only thing that we can prove is what's here in America. So that's the mindset of me and people that support me. We don't go off of Roots movie. We don't go off of propaganda or agendas that's trying to force us to believe we're just slaves that came off of wooden boats and that we don't have a home. We are home. Miss D says, African goddess, the term is related to Black Americans, so that's why other melanated people use the ethnicity, because it gives people in their mind respect around the world. I think so, like subliminally they think this. For Rivers, how you doing? You said hello to everybody. Yes, it's good this man sees through the Pan-African fraud, but he has to realize that the African-American label is what has allowed this. He is unfortunately still a Pan-African, even though he's saying he doesn't like what he's seeing, and he realizes there's a lot of fraudulent people that's claiming to be Pan-African. Len says, Black Americans made the word black pop worldwide. When people hear it, they think Black Americans, lineage, history, culture, icons, accomplishments, etc. Miss D says, son of Enna, we are American, been here, ancestors did here, fought here, built here. The U.S. wants it is because of us, is what it is because of us. As far as African descent, we also have many other DNA in our blood. Exactly. We're not glorifying one aspect of our blood and trying to put that on a pedestal for worship. We have understanding that there are people that have other agendas that's not befitting for me worshiping Africa at all. So I would rather worship the Creator. I would rather watch and see people's intentions and what they're trying to do and have us do. I would like to be a survivalist in the midst of a lot of different people trying to ensnare us in a lot of different things, which is going on all over the place, America and Africa. So that is the situation as Indigenous Black American goes. African Goddess says, Miss D, that last comment is deep. There may be something in what you're saying, but white people have been calling Aboriginals others Blacks for hundreds of years. Lynn says, son of Anna, we are Americans. Do your genealogy to see if you can find any Africans. Like I said, I have no issue if I do find an African in my lineage. I am my ancestors, whomever they are, but I will not claim stranger people on a continent full of strangers over my actual relatives of America. People are trying to get us to forget about our own actual relatives in America and worry and wonder about people that are strangers in a whole nother continent. And that is just not cool. It's rather weird, strange. How you doing, Hasanaf Shut 22? Less than 1% of FBA move out of the states. Exactly. For River says, LOL, he said a good forsaken place like Ghana. Exactly. God forsaken. Yes, God forsaken it is. Monique says, I will say it until I die. I live with their jealousy and envy. I will never help these people again. I want no parts of them. Oh, wow. I heard that. You really got to let that out, Monique. Don't let it fester. But I would definitely tell your story whenever you're ready to share what happened so that you can vent and release it, because it's not good to hold on to that. But I get it. If somebody really did me dirty, like my mother did my uncle, and like many other things have happened in my life that has not been cool, I understand holding on to that feeling of not ever receiving them back in the same light, because you already know what they're capable of. I get it. And hello to you. Thank you for coming back. Len says, and some of these people they are calling AA or Black Americans are of immigrants' parentage that were born in the United States calling themselves Black Americans. They are not FBA. That's what we are discovering now, Len. Like I said, when I first came to YouTube in 2018, I did not know that other people was using those names that we were given that had other identities. I just thought that they would be so prideful not to ever want to share governmental names issued to us. I thought that they would want to stand off like they claimed that they would do. And then you start hearing that they've been secretly calling themselves African and Black American. It's crazy. Yes, the biggest scam in history was Ghana. Definitely. For sure. Shut. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I don't know how to pronounce it though. Miss D says, African goddess, when African and Caribbean come on, they didn't know they were Black until they came to America, which means they're not Black. And the term in the UK, Black, was enforced in the 80s. Yeah, I remember always being corrected when I would say, what's up? Or I don't know how the conversation would turn up, but they would tell you, Jamaicans in particular, would tell you how they're Jamaican, they're not Black. And I remember other Africans when I was in college would tell me what tribe they were from. When I finally did meet some Africans, they never identified themselves as being African. They never even said I was African. They said, I'm from Kenya, I'm from the tribe of such and such. I met a guy from Kenya, I met another guy from, I think, South Africa or Zimbabwe. I can't remember. Anyways, Lynn says, yes, Ghana wanted our money. Ghana want our reparations money as well. Ghana is bankrupt and we owe billions to China. Speaking of which, they are always in financial pickles, Ghana. They don't know how to manage anything. That's why I'm so shocked and surprised when a lot of us want to really invest in Ghana, because they have already burnt their own people with investments before, and with the bank crisis that had happened when they captured people's monies from 9 indigenous banks back in 2017 through 2020. And they are now facing another major economic crisis. It's going to hit Ghana again. According to this video, it's saying that Ghana is going to have a hike price in water, electricity, fuel, and cement. Let's take a quick listen of that, and then I'll come back to the chat, and then we'll listen more to Kala.
Ghana has been receiving so much financial support recently.
In today's media briefing on the economy, I'll provide updates on the following key areas: performance of the economy to date, progress made on the implementation of the IMF-supported PCPEC, status of Ghana's debt restructuring program, and the status of independent power producers' legacy debt, as well as the power purchase agreement renegotiations, among others. Let me summarize some of the remarkable achievements we've witnessed in recent times. Generally, the macroeconomic environment continues to remain stable as government continues to implement the IMF-supported program. Growth, as we've heard...
Like I said, they're not building no damn Wakanda. They owe all this money. So what do you think they want to do most of all? They want to pay back all these debts because all these corrupt individuals have stolen all these monies, pocketed all these monies all over the place. And they keep getting more loans to cover the loans that they took, over the loans that they took, and over the loans that they take. It's ridiculous.
From the previous two distinguished speakers, is proving to be more resilient and robust than initially programmed. And the economy continues to show strong signs of recovery, particularly in quarter 1 of 2024. The results was remarkable. Overall real GDP growth for quarter 1 2024 was 4.7%, the highest since quarter 1 of 2020.
And of course, they're good liars. So he's trying to spin it and make it sound like Ghana's doing good. But of course, they don't be telling the truth. Let's see what else this video is about.
the truth. This growth performance is better than the 3.1% growth recorded in the same period in 2023. Industry grew the most at 6.8%, followed by agriculture at 4.1% and services at 3.3%. The 2024 quarter one GDP growth rate is the highest since quarter four of 2020. The growth in industry is particularly interesting. In the past, growth came largely from services and to some extent agriculture. Industry did not perform well. So if we are beginning to see industry performing well, it tells us that the real recovery is here.
So this is the new,
and that will mean more jobs being created for the Ghanaian people, more wealth being created for the Ghanaian people.
Man, this is the new financial minister. He replaced Akata, what's his name? Not Akata, Atada Afori, Ken Afori, Atada. His cousin that was the financial minister got replaced by this guy right now that's just lying about how good Ghana's doing. Like I said, this video is saying that they're about to go into a crisis. So maybe after he's saying what he's about to say or continue to say, they're going to counter it with showcasing the true essence of what Ghana is really going through. But of course, like I say, a lot of these corrupt leaders, they can't tell the truth. They never tell the truth. They just spin stories. And Ghana, again, borrowing all the money, eventually is going to catch up with Ghana. All this so-called building that they've been doing, all these loans they've been getting, just like what happened in Kenya, it could happen in Ghana. I'm pretty sure that other youth are thinking about what could they do if they're approached with a high tax and everybody's not wanting to be debt slaves. Kenya youth rejected becoming debt slaves to that new so-called financial bill of 2024 by President Ruto. And I'm pretty sure with what Ghana's going through, it might ricochet and go over there to them as well.
And therefore, we have turned the corner as we have said over and over. The future is brighter. Inflation, as we've also heard from the governor of the Bank of Ghana, is declining with a strong disinflation process since the beginning of 2023. In response to the ongoing fiscal consolidation, appropriate tightening of monetary policy, and relative stability in the exchange rate, headline inflation declined by 1.9 percentage points to 23.1% in May 2024 from 25.0% in April 2024.
Hold on, let me fast forward this because this is tripping, taking forever to go.
Ghanaians will face increased cost for essential commodities and utilities, and that is going to affect households, businesses, and industries across the nation. Ghana's Public Utility Regulatory Commission, or PURC, has announced a series of tariff hikes for water and electricity in their second quarter review. To them, these increases are necessary because the government need money to cover operation costs, meet financial obligations, and maintain infrastructure. And here are the breakdowns, and we are starting with electricity. For lifeline consumers using 30 kilowatts per hour will see a 3.45 increment. Residential consumers using more than 30 kilowatts per hour and non-residential users will see a 5.84% increment. Industrial consumers will also witness a 4.92% increment. With water tariffs, all consumers categories will see a 5.16% increment. For households and businesses, these increases mean higher utility bills starting from July 1st through September 2024. Let's break it down again. what this means for the average Ghanaian. Let's take a typical Ghanaian household consuming 100 kilowatt-hour of electricity per month. Before the hike, they paid approximately 180 Ghana cedis. With the new tariffs, their bill will rise to about 190 Ghana cedis. For water, a household consuming 10 cubic meters per month will see their bills increase from 70 Ghana cedis to 74 Ghana cedis. While these increases may seem small individually, they add up to everything in the country, especially for low-income families who are already struggling with high cost of living. The construction sector is also feeling the pinch. Cement prices have been on the rise, with a bag of cement going from 95 Ghana cedis in May to over 108 Ghana cedis in July, depending on the brand and location. Cement market leaders in Ghana like Gassem, Jata Cement, and Diamond Cement attribute this to increased transportation, electricity, and raw material costs. The government is pushing for regulations to curb the unreasonable pricing of cement, but this has been met with resistance from manufacturers who claim there hasn't been enough consultation.
Now, away from that, 5 cement manufacturers boycotted a scheduled meeting with Trade and Industry Minister Katie Hammond on Monday to discuss a proposed legislative instrument aimed at regulating cement prices. The companies, Dangote, Superseb, Gassem, Diamond Cement, and Simaf, declined the meeting, expressing a preference for closed-door discussions. This development occurred amid strong opposition from manufacturers against the proposed legislation to control cement prices.
Again, the notion that their economy is getting better is a lie. He spun the story to make it seem like it's so because he's the financial minister, the new one, the one that replaced the cousin. So of course he's going to be saying whatever they tell him to say, and I don't believe him at all. Four Rivers says, what's sad is that this isn't the first time that a group of Black Americans went to Ghana. The year of return group of Black Americans should have talked to the ones that did this decades ago. It wasn't good for most. Yeah, they got to share their story. Easy X says, if I remember correctly, Kala wants to have land given to Black Americans in the South to create a quasi-sovereign country. He works with the African guy named Bumanti. I don't trust either of them. No, I thought he said he wanted us to go to Liberia. I don't know what he's on now. He's a lot slimmer. I don't know what he is trying to work towards a goal, but I had thought it was always Liberia. Lynn says, we just be living our lives, but everybody is focused on us. They realize that they can make money from our music and cosplaying us. They make money on social media just using the word Black. Yeah. Monique says, yes, there was a lot of disrespect in Ghana and Morocco and Gambia, Egypt. I prayed with the other groups and they are all the same. East, South, West, North. It is what it is. Wow, you said ain't none of them any better. They just, oh Lord, that's cold. Thanks for sharing. Len says, if you do your genealogy, you will find you had ancestors who were freed and ancestors who were enslaved. I found several indigenous Indians in my genealogy. Monique says, I have been called a dog as well. I almost got into a fight because of this. I told her to come to my face and tell me that all Black women are dogs. I called her a passport hoe. You said, I ain't going out like that. You said, you passport hoe. Monique says, oh yeah, these people are the reason why I'm fully woke. Oh, wow. Thanks for your channel. I appreciate it. I appreciate you for coming through and letting me know, giving me confirmation and encouragement that what I've been saying is actually facts. I don't have an agenda other than showcasing the truth and hoping that others will share the video and like the video, subscribe to my channel, and better our information pool. I think a lot of us stay stuck on distraction and entertainment all the time, and we got to sometimes get down to the nitty-gritty and help our people out somehow. And this is how I'm helping y'all out, I hope. Sep Shut says Pan-Africanism made me overlook my own native ancestry. Exactly. That's exactly what it does. It has you forget about being American. It makes you escape and think of yourself as being someone totally different. And that's what they're trying to do. And that's not cool. Four Rivers says, yes, she's correct. Many Africans only want to accept the Black Americans that say they are slaves from Africa. If you tell them you are indigenous, free, etc., then they can't find superior to you. They can't feel superior to you. Yeah, they get upset when they can't look at you like a slave, although they still try, although they will definitely still call you a slave. But if your mentality is not stuck on that story, like, we surpassed slavery. We're freed people. What are you talking about? We're not that no more. So I am my ancestor. I'm not a slave, though. Whatever my ancestors endure, I carried that in me. But I'm not a slave. We're freed people, but Africans that want to feel superior are going to call you slaves. Afrodamas call you slaves. Judah called us slaves. Various ones have been heard on platforms calling us slaves. They have no respect for us. That's why I say you should not fuck with people that don't have no respect for you. Fuck them. EDEC says, all these Pan-Africanists claim they love Malcolm X so much, but X's greatest power was him able to believe in something so strong that he changed his views when it's proven wrong. EDEC says, oh yeah, that was strength in that. To come to think of that, for you to be reared up by, what is it, the other Muslim, I can't think of it. The one where Farrakhan is over. The name of it misses me right now. But for him to be a part of that cult or that clan or that clique, and to be at the very top spokesman for the clique, for the group, and for him to totally flip despite knowing what it was going to mean, that was pretty bold and courageous. That was a big flip. But they took him out, though. They took him out. African Goddess says Ghana is not God-forsaken, but it is a struggling, developing country with a lot of poor, desperate people who will do what they need to survive. Exactly, at your expense. That's the point. Easy X says Ghana couldn't even manage the slave trading they were doing. So how can they manage anything modern today? African Goddess says there are definitely opportunities in Africa, but there are also a lot of risk. And anyone coming here must be aware of that. It's not called the last frontier for nothing. Thank you. That's true. Four Rivers says the locals are mad because their prices are going up due to the extra money put in their economy due to the repat, etc., while most of them haven't benefited from this extra money put in the economy. Okay. But they don't get mad for Rivers at the Chinese, at the Lebanese, at the other groups of people that's doing it far worse than we are. I mean, they're bringing hundreds of them at a time and building and getting all this land and building all these businesses and complexes and estates and all this stuff. They don't get mad at that. Yeah, Nation of Islam. I could not think of the Nation of Islam. Exactly. You do speak the truth. Thank you for that. I try my best. That's what I do. I'm not influenced by nobody. I do not go off of religion. I don't have a leader. I just have my own discernment and my own thoughts based on my experience and based on what I observe, and my God helping me to see. That's it. I'm nothing special, though, but I thank God that he's given me the mind to consider other thoughts that other people might not ever consider. It makes me bold, you know. Four Rivers says, if the locals in Ghana or any other African country feel like their prices are being inflated due to the repats, it might not be a good thing for those repats to stay there. Yeah, that can turn ugly. That's what I fear too. African Goddess Four Rivers, without the 1.9 billion they generated from the year of return, Ghana's economy would be worse. Wow. All you're special. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. So now I want y'all to listen some more to Kala as I take my dog out real quick. But I want y'all to hear what he had to say. He was getting jiggy with it, with talking now about his newfound respect for his identity and for the fact that he realizes that Pan-Africanism just ain't doing it, and the fact that many other melanated people are jealous of us because, again, of our perceived protection of our birthright, I think is the primary reason.
This is what I'm talking about. You know, like there's some influx of African Americans. They got this idea there's this influx of African Americans to Africa, and that's true. It's a lie. You know how hard it is to even get African Americans to go on a trip to Africa. You know how hard it is us to round up 18 people to go on a freaking tour. Yeah, come on. What jobs are there in Ghana? What do you have in Ghana that we don't have? We have a $30 trillion economy here. Ghana's a freaking shithole with no money. It's broke and no money. No African country really has any money. You know, how are we gonna survive? We're working class people for the most part. You know, we like good paying jobs, stuff like that. We ain't gonna come over here and talk about we got to start a so-called business. Well, now every time I see black people from the West go to Africa with a so-called business plan, they always fail. They have this idea, oh, I'm gonna go to Africa and make it. And when shit don't work out, they're like, oh well, I didn't know it was gonna be all that. They end up throwing their whole life away.
As colonizers.
So she basically says we're coming as colonizers. How can you colonize? A colonizer comes with a mother country. He comes with an army, and he's subjugated. Colonize means you're subjugating another group of people. So why is she using the term colonizer? That's really dangerous, you know. So like I said, these people, all they do is sit around, look at the way she wears her hair and everything. These people obsess over Black America. They're jealous of, particularly like African women. They're jealous of African American women. You know, the beauty of and stuff like this. They're just envious and jealous. It's called like it is. You know, when you're on top, you're on top. People are gonna be jealous of you and envy you. You know, and when people are jealous and envy you, they're capable of hurting you.
They may not see themselves as colonizers, but they are moving like settlers. They are.
And people say, oh yeah, it's gonna be no like and whatnot. You know, they're moving like settlers. How are they moving like settlers? If you move into a country and buy property and stuff like that, you go there, and does the Ghanaian government have housing for these people? Are the Ghanaian government putting up money? No, they're putting up their own money and building a site because they were invited in. So when they do come in, you could now call them a colonizer, a settler, and everything. I bet you anything about money. She doesn't live in Ghana. She probably lives in the United States, running her freaking mouth about Black Americans or whoever moving to Ghana. She probably lives comfortable in the United States. That's what they do. They sit up in America, spend their whole life here because they can't go back to their country, and they talk about us because they're jealous of the fact that we have the capability of actually going to Africa and doing something, making a difference, you know? I asked a question, we did a tour to Liberia, right? And my brother Bomani, Dynas, and everybody, it's all African Americans who are going to these countries, bringing tourism, spending the money and everything, money that these people, local people would have. And I saw the impact when we did this tour, right? How the local people benefit from our presence there. We're buying stuff, we're putting money into the local economy, we're tipping people, we're doing all stuff like this. Money they would not have. So what are they talking about with colonizers?
Actions and the entitlement that they are moving with are giving colonizer vibes. But
first of all, the colonizers didn't come there and ask you for anything. They negotiated. They came and took your country, took your gold, and same colonizers still owns all the gold in Ghana. French companies, everybody pay Ghana 2% royalties on their own gold. Ghana doesn't have its own cocoa. The French and all these other people use their monetizes Ghana's cocoa used for their currency. So what are you talking about colonizers, right? Ghana's in debt with the IMF. Went to the IMF 19 times when it's still in debt. Ghana can't even basically tariff anybody coming to their country because it doesn't control its own import and export because it's under IMF rules, structural adjustment rules, where it cannot refuse anything right now, because it's an IMF debt. So who the hell? So why don't they have that smoke for the IMF, the World Bank, and the British and people that's basically robbing them blind and everything like that? But they want to fix their freaking dirty, filthy mouths to talk about us.
By that I mean displacing the local people.
And they also about the local people. They don't do anything for the local people. They don't give a damn about the local people. If you know anything about Africa, the governments and the people in power don't give a damn about the local people. We go there and we're actually giving them jobs and stuff like that and create opportunity and putting them on. We connect them with the local people all the time. We go there and connect with local people. A lot of times they can't. We've had them losing because they can't do the work that they say they were going to do and everything. We still pay these people and put these people on. So what is she talking about? We're displacing the local people.
Disrespecting the local culture. Doing all the things to uproot the natives.
And here's what gets me is, if your culture was so strong, like you say it is, it's so great, you never hear a Chinese person say, people come here and uproot our culture because the culture's strong, it's real. Maybe the culture is not as what you think it is. Why do you think Africans, one generation, they moved to overseas, one generation, they completely lost their language, culture, and everything? Because maybe African culture ain't what it all cracked up to be. So if somebody can make you displace your own culture, your own country, you're in a sad situation. That's what I said, man. It's time to deal with these pathetic people. I'm sorry, but I hate to say this as a Pan-African, but these people are not on our level. When we start talking about Pan-African, we got to build with people that's to our level. And like I said, my whole thing is, like I learned on this tour, right? The reason why I like Jamaicans and everything like that, like Ghanaians, they can put up with Ghanaians because they're both third world people. Black Americans are first world people. And there's very few people that's up to our standards. When I was in Morocco, and basically they found out I was African American, they were like, oh yeah. Their eyes light up and whatnot. Oh yeah, let me give you this, whatever, like this. They know I'm not some third world person trying to mooch off them. I'm coming from Black middle America and everything. They give me that respect and everything like that because what our people have built in this country.
And maybe some people that give us that respect, but there's far too many that's not giving us respect these days. And I think that that's partly why Kala did this video, because he's recognizing the disrespect on a daily that's experienced on YouTube, that's showcased in so many different ways. Here is a video of Tariq Nasheed talking about why, in his opinion, why the Caribbeans, Africans, and Black Brits can't stand Black Americans. You have my reason, our birthright, and our coverage, perceived protection. That's what they're tripping off of. But he says,
I want to switch topics, but because this is a very controversial talking point on the internet, right? I go on TikTok and I see a lot of UK people speaking about Black Americans. Right? So what a lot of people, the UK, Africans, Caribbeans, a lot of their talking points is Black Americans or FBAs don't have culture. What do you say to those people who say that?
That's a projection. That's a projection because we are the culture here. Our lineage goes back to this country longer than the lineage to their country because their countries are relatively new, especially over there in West Africa. Not just West Africa, all of Africa. Many of those countries were basically created in the 1800s at the Berlin Conference. So they don't have a deep, rich culture. That's why a lot of them have to leave because of a lot of tribalism. They're not as deeply rooted as they're supposed to be. So they do a lot of projecting onto us. Our culture is so deeply rooted here. Everything about American culture that is good comes from foundational Black Americans. The food, the dance, the slang, the sports, the entertainment.
They try to say you can't use those examples nowadays.
Why can't we? Well, foundational Black Americans created the modern doorknob. We created the modern toilet. We created modern dry cleaning. So many things that we created. We created the modern home security system. I mean, we've had 50,000 patents. We can claim all of this stuff. All of the music genres was created by foundational Black Americans. We are the culture. And they know this because if you go to their countries, they're acting like us. We're not acting like them. They got on baseball hats and Nike shoes and stuff that we're wearing.
That's right. 90-degree weather.
Right. They ain't wearing kente cloth sweatpants. They're wearing Nikes and Adidas like we're wearing.
Right. So even when you went to say about how the countries in West Africa, like I've seen an old map of Africa before they had the invisible lines with the borders with the countries, and like you said, those countries didn't exist until like the time frame you said. So when I hear this this conversation, and I think you seen one of our clips was a Haitian woman, and she was like, she was sitting on the couch and she was just like, I can't date a Black American because Black Americans don't have any cultures, and that one just went crazy online because it just. While she's dressed like an American Black woman, she's sitting there talking about Black Americans don't have, you know what I mean? So that is always a kind of divisive talking point.
And like I said, because they have a lot of different changes that happen, they don't seem to be able to catch a break. Like what's about to happen in Jamaica. Let me show y'all what Jamaica's about to endure. And if there's damage to homes and businesses and stuff, I think more or less people are just shit out of luck.
We're keeping an eye on Hurricane Beryl moving toward Jamaica as a dangerous Category 5 hurricane. Parts of the Caribbean are seeing strong winds and rough waters. The extremely dangerous storm may devastate communities with storm surges, flooding, and high winds. The storm already ripped through some Caribbean islands. An eyewitness says he's never experienced anything like it before.
And you're really just hoping for the best. And all around me, there were houses in the village. Their roofs were flying past. You could see it passing. It was just a terrifying experience. Once you've experienced it, then you know. But until then.
And they have to brace and see what's going to happen coming up because it's not over. So places like Jamaica, Haiti, that have hurricanes or other devastating things occur, they don't be having the help and they just be asked out and they have to start all over again. And they look at us and they say, oh, look at those Black Americans over there. They don't have to go through these type of changes. What makes them so special? Again, it's about our birthright. It's about what our ancestors were willing to do. Other ancestors weren't willing to do what we did here in the face of our oppressors. And we got some degree of status based off of our birthright. And people really don't like us having protection like that. That's where I think all this disdain comes from. There's so many other groups of people that are melanated, that are scattered everywhere for a lot of different reasons. None of them chose to really make these migrant moves. Some of them did, of course. I'm talking about as of late, though, generally speaking, a lot of these people, because of war, famine, or whatever like that, they had to do what they had to do, and that's why they had to move, and that's why they're moving. And they don't like to see us stationary, and we just casually coming to Ghana, casually going to Gambia. Sometimes it is kind of hairy because of the COVID that had happened that caused some people to be a little bit rushed, I guess you could say, to take a chance to come to West Africa. But more or less, more times than not, we're not acting like that. We're choosing to come over to Africa. And sometimes, a lot of times, it seems that they're choosing wrong, but it was a choice that they chose, not the choice chosen for them. You see what I'm saying? We're choosing, not the situation choosing us. And that's why I think a lot of the envy stems from that, because they have so many different changes that they go through, and they don't see us going through a whole lot of changes, although they don't understand the mental stress that we're up under. It's very hard for our mentality and our mind sometimes to absorb all the things that we see and all the things that we have to close our mouth for or be quiet on or let slip, let slide. All these different things that we go through mentally and emotionally. Sometimes it takes its toll. They don't see that. They just see you're not struggling like I am. I don't like that. I don't like you. Let me see, where was I? Let me see, where was I? If you do I did that already. Oh yeah, these people are the reason why I'm fully woke. Okay, I read that. Ghana couldn't even manage the slave trading. I read that. If the locals in Ghana or any other African group, did I read that? If the locals in Ghana or any other African country feel like their prices are being inflated due to the repats, it might not be a good thing for those repats to stay there. For River said, yes, I did read that. I read that. Okay, Lynn says Africans think it's easier to flee to the West and especially the U.S. to try to change their identity than to stay and work hard to make changes in their homelands. It goes back to the sacrifice. Our people were willing to sacrifice and not care about what happened to them at the time. Nowadays, people don't have that in them to really not care about the sacrifice. But you could see that Kenyan youth was willing to sacrifice for them to bar that bill from coming to be. Lynn says they rather come fight with Black Americans than work on their countries. We're easily scapegoated, that's all. Lynn says it's best to stay out of these primitive third world countries. They are very tribal and it is dangerous to live in Africa. A coup or war can pop off at any minute. Exactly, Lynn says. For River says, African goddess, yes, I can imagine that all that money generated from the repat movement helped Ghana pay some of its debts, but most locals there probably haven't enough for price hikes. They pocketed a lot of that money though too. Just imagine. African goddess says the Chinese, Indians, etc. are not melanated in the same way. I have heard people here refer to them as ordinary whites. Okay. For River says, yes, the people of Ghana will blame the Black Americans for their problems before they blame others. That's why repatting isn't worth it for Black Americans. That's right. That's my opinion too, for Rivers. Me and you are on the same mindset. Easy X says, I cannot believe Kala is talking like this. He is a goddamn panty to his soul. I can't trust him. He must have gotten rejected by his African girlfriend. Panties get mad when the white man gets his pussy. Okay. African goddess says, for Rivers strategy from government is wrong. They need to deal with multinationals, join together with other African countries, refuse to pay loans, etc. Lord, give us another Gaddafi. Len says, if you go to Africa, go as a tourist on vacation and stay in a 4 or 5 star hotel. Go on tours, sightseeing like the other tourists, because we are not African, we are Americans. Yeah, that's a good idea. Four Rivers says, well, I don't believe in traveling at all, but for those that want to take the risk, you can go do that. Four Rivers says, yes, Indigenous Black Americans are the most respected and freest of all. I wouldn't say we're the most respected. We're the most acknowledged, I guess. I wouldn't say all the way around respected, but we don't have a bad name as far as traveling abroad yet, except for these passport bros that might be changing that pretty soon. I hope not. Monique says they know why they will give them respect in Morocco. I know why too. I heard, yeah, Morocco, you better, because those Arabics will treat you like a migrant. Just like that one guy got caught up mistaken for a migrant and was almost out in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Easy X says, if I had any intentions of going to Africa, colonizing would be too difficult, but I would monopolize and exploit those resources as much as I can and not be sorry about it. They do same thing in the United States. Apparently, they come to the United States and take, so you're about right. For River says, and right after those newly formed African countries got formed, they focus on Black Americans to seek leadership from. Now Pan-Africans flipped it, telling Black Americans to look towards Africa for leadership. Yeah, they are. They're acting as if we are the little peons and that we need Africans suddenly to lead us. They are not leading their own situation. How are they going to lead us anywhere? African Goddess says, Easy X, your attitude is so similar to the African elite, you would fit right in. African Goddess came to play. For River says, man, I was in shock when I saw the aftermath of the storm. Prayers for those survivors. But that's why I never want to live full-time in those Caribbean countries. Yeah, they be having those hurricanes all the time. So just imagine what type of situation the Jamaicans going to have to face, and the people that's over here in America, their loved ones over there in Jamaica, what they're going through right now. They're stressed out right now. We don't have that stress because we're not over there for the most part. We might have a few stragglers that went over there, but the mass number, no, we're not going over to the Caribbean. We're not traveling in mass number to Africa just yet. Just some. I wouldn't say a big number, though. African Goddess says, the other thing I noticed about Black Americans in Africa is that they don't put enough boundaries up between themselves and the poor. That's what I'm saying, African Goddess. That's why I did a live talking about boundaries, because I feel that we're letting other people set our boundaries. And I think that that is silly. You said, why do you think you're hated on? Survivor says, because the way people talk about us every single day, Survivor. Every channel that I go on, I see Black American or African American in a title. And it's always ridiculing and talking reckless and crazy about us. Platforms full of people talking about us, taking turns, acting like it's a sport, levying off on us like at will, at whims. They don't respect us, and that's why they talk shit, because there's no consequence behind it. There's no repercussions with talking shit against us, so they do it. That's why. Survivor. African Goddess says, you can't be friendly with people who don't have your life chances. That's opening yourself up for abuse. Exactly. Easy Access, thank you, African Goddess. You are correct. And we get a lot of these African elite in the United States calling me a slave. So I'll be an elite slave in Africa. Oh, wow. All righty then. African Goddess says, Kenyan's police cannot be compared to what would happen. Uganda, Nigeria, South Africa, the army would have been out and shooting. Wow, see? And that's the kind of stuff that African Goddess don't want Black Americans to know. But I'm pretty sure that's commonplace for armies to take off on the civilians. It's not like it's never ever happened before, I'm sure. Lynn says, these immigrants, when led you right off a cliff, would lead you right off a cliff. Look at the countries they fled from. Exactly, Lynn. How you doing, Charles? Thank you for coming back. I really appreciate seeing you as well. For those that have not yet and do not know who I am, I'm For Black Righteous Folks Home, short for For Black. If you guys could, please like and share the video. Please subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's free. Let's get back to Genesis. He's I'm going to show it a little bit longer, and then we're going to wrap this up.
Start building with people that's more to our level. Maybe the Black South Africans one day will catch up to that level, that we could build something with them. Maybe countries like Botswana, it was a growing middle class and stuff like that. We could probably connect with them and everything. But these dirt poor countries like Ghana and Nigeria and all these other people like that, we gotta let them go. I don't believe in this blanket Pan-Africanism. We gotta get with people that's like to our level. You know, it's just what it is. I've been hurt people's feelings, but I'm sorry. We gotta leave these people behind. Or we're gonna keep going through all this stuff like that. We need people that's our equal.
Colonizer would do. To make life difficult, to make life more expensive, to make the native people uncomfortable in their own environment.
How are you gonna be uncomfortable in your own environment? You know, Native people seem like they're happy to me. So if the Black Americans leave, will the natives be happy? No, they'll still find something else to complain about.
I'm not saying this is solely an African American issue, but I'm saying that in the same way.
You did say that. You say you put this on African Americans. What about the whites that are coming to Ghana? You know, what about the whites? What about the Europeans and the Chinese? All these other people. So why that's not a concern of hers? Why are you talking about a few dozen? The least number of people, foreigners in Africa are African Americans.
The way that we can recognize when white people are moving into spaces and gentrifying it, when white people are moving into global south countries as settlers and colonizers, we also need to recognize that behavior in our state.
That's another lie. But these people basically, that's why I'm glad South Africa voted the way they did. They voted to get through the dilemma because these people are hypocrites. If the EFF would have won, all these people talking all this nonsense would not are flooding into South Africa. Why don't you have that same smoke for all the foreign Africans at the Mexican border? What about the ones breaking into South Africa and illegally in South Africa? You know, to migrating to the global south. What about all these Africans migrating to the industrial north? Time to tell it like it is. And this is why these so-called Pan-Africans are losing this argument. You know, this is why they lose this argument. Blue Sox, good question. You know, why is she talking about Ghanaian African gentrifying? It's people are freaking obsessed with Black America. You know, they're obsessed with Black America. That's what it is. People obsess over us. You know, and she's a Jamaican. Yeah, she's a Jamaican. She sounds like she's a Jamaican. You know, she's probably a Jamaican living in Canada. But they got so much smoke for African Americans. When there's more Jamaicans and Caribbeans going to Ghana than African Americans. You know. Okay, highlight blue comments. Funny how the Lebanese, Chinese, and whites can come over and there's no problem. When Africa come over, they make a point of international media called, Africa, that's what I'm talking about. And there's a couple of Kenya could be a good country, you know, it's growing middle class technology and stuff like that. Black America gotta leave these stupid dirt poor countries alone, these ignorant dirt poor countries like Ghana alone. Let the Jamaicans have it, you know? Let the Jamaicans and the Caribbeans have Ghana, you know? We gotta concentrate on countries that
He said let the Caribbeans have Ghana. My phone is about to die. The battery's getting low. Let me see what you guys are saying, then I'm going to conclude this. I'm glad that he has had a change of heart, though. There's maybe some hope for him yet. But, yeah, Ghana can be had by the Caribbeans for all I care. I concur. I second that emotion, Kala. Easy Acts Your Attitude. Okay, I read that. African Goddess says, you cannot be friendly with people who don't have your life chances or changes, I guess you meant. That's opening yourself up for abuse. Oh, I read that. African Goddess says, Kenyans. Oh, I read that. For River says, dragging Black Americans on the internet has basically become a ritual these days. It's spell work. Even some idiot Black Americans are doing it exactly like Pan-African Strikes Back Again, Dynasty Mayor, all of them do it. Every time I see you, I would join in. Thank you for that, Charles. For River says, to welcome everybody in the chat room. Thank y'all for stopping by. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks. Thank you for that. Kala is not understanding the level of something anger poor locals feel when they see people who look like them living better. Lynn says, tribalism runs rapid in Africa. Don't attempt to live there. They are very primitive people. African Goddess says, middle-aged Africans in poor areas have security guards, electrical fencing, and rock wallers. Monique says, we're not checking on them. Miss D says they can have all of Africa for real. African Goddess says, Lynn, we are not primitive, but we are oppressed. I like the fact how you hold your own, African Goddess, that you're not afraid to be in the chat room and stand up for yourself. I respect that, because a lot of other people are scared to come in the chat room, and I know y'all want to. Y'all won't come in the chat room, though. It's very interesting. For River says, yes, many Caribbeans would feel right at home in Ghana. It's sad. It's said that the majority of the slave trade Africans were sent there. Lynn says, I don't know why anyone would leave a first world country to live in a third world country. It doesn't make sense to me. Shiro Grace says, hello. Thank you for coming through. I really appreciate you. And Four River says, Lynn M. Facts. I appreciate everybody for spending time with me today. I hope that more Pan-Africans will wake up and have scales fall from their eyes and understand that Pan-Africanism is nothing more than a facade. It is a camouflage used by those who want to conceal their true intentions. A lot of them are scammers or con artists, and we need to expose these types of people. That's what I do on this platform. This is not hate speech against anybody. This is about preserving our identity and fight for our own rights to remain as is, as we always have been. We don't want different agendas to now try to force us to be something that we have not co-signed to be ourselves. And that's what this is all about. Thank y'all for coming through. You said witchcraft and money rituals and jealous to oppress. Okay, if you say so, Lynn says. For River, yes, you're right about Caribbeans. My husband was from the Caribbean. For River says, later for Black, I'll repay the part that I miss. Thank y'all for coming through. Please like and share the video and bless up.